Good morning, class, and welcome to another episode. It's been a while of the Get Good Academy, another class. So this one, I had a tweet recently, and this made me think that this was a good subject to tackle here moving forward. And that is the idea of how to pick a deck. So this is a true tweet, right? This happened 2019 Portland, right before the tournament. It was like Turbo Dark was by far the BDIF, and it was like, how do you beat Turbo Dark? Oh my gosh! And I was freaking out about it. And my wife's just like, if you're trying to win, why aren't you just playing the best deck? It's the best one, right? It's something like that. It's a paraphrase, but that kind of became a thing of like every tournament. Why aren't you just playing the best deck? And sometimes you have to acknowledge, okay, if I can't beat them, join them. Now, I do want to say, though, and the reason this video is coming out is not just, hey, there is a 1-minute clip, not a short, right? There's a little bit of nuance to it. And a lot of people in the comment section tried to pull the well, actually, Mellow, that kind of stuff, right? And I want to address what this tweet and what this phrase actually means. So if it's the best deck, why aren't you playing it? It's the best, right? Yes. Every tournament you should be going into playing what you think is the best deck. Now, with that said, and this is one of the reasons why if you're on this channel for a while, what I'm going to say is going to make a lot of sense. But if you're new here, go back and check the back catalog a bit. You don't have to watch the videos. It'd be nice if you do, but you don't have to watch the videos. Just kind of see what I've done compared to other content creators. So the best deck doesn't mean the best deck on tier lists. Sometimes, yes, it does. Sometimes, go back. I didn't play Turbo Dark at that tournament because I figured it out. Zorogar beats it. But sometimes you're playing the deck and you're like, okay, how do I make my deck beat this? How do I make, let's say, Lugia right now? Lugia is by far ranked the #1 deck by everyone. Go to any tier list, go to here, go to Omnipoke, go to Celio's, go to Azul's channel, whatever. Lugia is the best deck in the format. I stand by that for sure. Does that mean Lugia is the best deck? Not necessarily. If you're trying to play the game, I either have to beat Lugia or I have to play Lugia. If you cannot figure out how to beat it, you should play it. It's kind of that simple sometimes. And that's kind of where I'm at too for Toronto right now. So this is something you should be asking yourself before every tournament. Now, I want the other caveat of you're trying to win the game. If your goal is to win the tournament or to make top cut at the tournament, this is for you. If your #1 goal is to have fun and winning is lower or not even on your goal list, play whatever the heck you want. Totally fine. But this and the whole Get Good Academy really is towards people who are competitive in that competitive mindset of I need to win. I need to win as many games as I can versus let's see how well I can do with single strike Urshifu. Yeah, totally fine. You can do that. So we're going to go with that. I want to win the tournament. I need to play the best deck. Now, again, the best deck does not mean it is the deck that all of the content creators like myself and etc. are putting out the #1 on the tier list. Now, how does that go back to where my content's been geared? The idea of a meta call. Every regional, I've been putting out, these are the decks I expect to play against. Instead of putting out a tier list. Now, I do tier lists occasionally. We did one a little while ago because, be honest, they get views, right? And as a YouTuber, you need some views in there. But it's not always that simple. You have to think, what is the best in the meta? Sometimes it really is just Lugia. Sometimes it really is just the best deck. If you are stressing out, how do I beat this deck? At a certain point, you just play the deck. Because there's no reason you want to lose to the best deck. You can just play the best deck, beat everyone who is failing to beat it, or everyone who's too stubborn to play it, and you're totally fine. That is one of the most important parts of picking a deck for a tournament. The best deck. We all agree on it. It is Lugia. For a couple formats ago, it was Palkia. A couple formats before that, it was Mew. Totally fine. Does that mean Mew is always the play? No. Does that mean Lugia is the play? Not necessarily, right? Sometimes the play is going to be a little bit different. So this quote, I think it is incredibly important, something you need to ask yourself every single time. If it's the best deck, why aren't you just playing it? There is a correct answer to not play what everyone considers the best deck. And I think the most correct answer is you have found a deck that beats that deck. You found a deck that beats the top couple of decks. And this is where the people in the comment section, you can check out the tweet, right? People in the comment section, well, actually, Mellow, there is a meta call. Okay, cool. Yes, that is true. But if you make the right meta call, you're playing the best deck for a tournament. And we're going to look at a couple examples here together to kind of show, hey, this is a thing, right? So let's look at Salt Lake City. Not that long ago, right? The best deck going into this tournament, gosh, I even forget what I said. I'm pretty sure I was Team Giratina. I'm like pretty sure I was Team Giratina for this tournament. Giratina is a very powerful deck, right? Mew could have been up there, Palkia could have been up there too, but the best deck for this tournament was actually Regigigas. And then the question's, why? No one said Regigigas was the best deck in the format. That's not the point. The point isn't, who did the content creators put as the number one deck? We're going, these are the most powerful decks. A tier list isn't the best deck, a tier list is the most powerful deck. You players, including myself on this one, you players, the job is to figure out what is the best deck going into those metas. Sometimes it really is just that deck. There's a heckin' lot of Palkia, heckin' lot of Mew here. Giratina, a little less so. But that's okay. Reggie's was the best deck for this tournament. No one put it in the S tier deck. But the fact is, going into Salt Lake City, Regigigas was the best. And you may be saying, well, Mello, Regigigas didn't win. Correct. It was a very weird situation where an Arceus Goodra managed to find its way in there. I don't know how, because every Goodra did god-awful except for Hales. Every Goodra failed miserably except for one. And that one Goodra, they feasted on the Reggies. Good for them. That doesn't mean Reggie wasn't the best play there. Reggie was the best deck. So again, you ask yourself, why am I not just playing the best deck? In this case, well, because Reggie's, no one's teching for it, and it's beating all of the other decks, making Reggie the actual best deck. Now, if you're in a situation where you're like, I can't beat Mew, I can't beat Palkia, well, maybe you should play Mew, maybe you should play Palkia. So again, going into every tournament, if you want to win, your goal should be, I want to play the best deck. The best deck does not necessarily mean the thing that I put my number one. It doesn't mean it's Lugia necessarily. Note that said, if you're not beating Lugia, do you have the best deck in the room? Probably not, because Lugia is the most powerful deck in this format currently. It's up there with Mew, right? It could be Mew or Lugia. I'm Team Lugia. But as the most powerful deck, you have to beat the most powerful deck. Sometimes you cannot figure it out. I can't figure it out. That's why I'm like, okay, well, let's just play some Lugia, right? No, of course I might not play Lugia in Toronto, but you're getting the idea, hopefully. If it's the best deck, why aren't you just playing the best deck? And heading into the, like I said, I want to explain that. Well, actually, Mello, there's a meta call. Correct. Very good. The best deck for a tournament doesn't mean it is the strongest deck in the format. So this is the other thing you have to go into. And that's also why like I said, check out the channel. If you like this stuff, if you like metagaming, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Only 50% of you are subscribed approximately. It's not enough. But every tournament, I put out what is my expected meta, how many of these decks do I expect to play against. Pretty darn accurate. It's actually not that hard to predict. After you see, maybe if you watch a few, you'll be really good at predicting it too. But I pay too much attention to the Pokemon trading card game because I really like this stuff a lot. So therefore, I want to pass it on because why not? I only get to go to a couple regionals because I just had a kid. So you take my information, take my knowledge, right? But after a little while, you're like, okay, everyone's saying Lugia and Mew are the two best decks in the format. Sure. But then, if you're expecting to play Lugia and Mew, what else is there? Lost Box. Well, Mello, what if I am a deck that beats Lugia, Mew, and Lost Box? Congratulations! You have found the best deck. If you beat the other decks, you have found what is now the best deck in that current tournament, in that current meta. That is what matters. So you really have to ask yourself, why am I not playing the best deck? Well, Mello, because I beat the best deck. Congratulations! If you beat the best deck, you're playing the best deck. So that's something else you need to keep in mind. And if you're like, okay, I want to play Hisuian Zoroark, and I'm calling Hisuian Zoroark out because I want to play Hisuian Zoroark. I ordered them. I'm like, it's going to be good in this meta, and I'm wrong, and it's very sad. But I want to play Hisuian Zoroark. I can't figure out how to get Hisuian Zoroark to beat Lugia. Correct. Getting Hisuian Zoroark to beat Lugia is luck. Like, yes, you can beat it, but you're not going to beat it consistently. There's no tech you can really do except hope you go first, hope you pop off. So in this situation, you ask, why am I not just playing the best deck? Why am I not playing Lugia? Do you want to play Hisuian Zoroark? Is winning your goal? If winning's your goal, you don't want to play Hisuian Zoroark. You want to play the best deck. So therefore, you have to ask yourself, why am I playing Hisuian Zoroark over Lugia? If the answer is, I want to play Hisuian Zoroark because Zoroark's my favorite Pokemon, I want to have fun, great. You don't have to ask yourself the question, why am I not playing the best deck? Just go play the tournament. You can stop stressing about it. But if your answer is, well, I want to win, but I can't figure it out, then stop trying to figure it out and go over to that best deck. And this is one of those things that you really have to be able to do. One of the things that limits a lot of the quote unquote average players, even the good players, is this idea of here's my pet deck. And I say, you should practice a deck you're going to play. That is accurate. You should not pick up a deck the night before, ever, ever, ever. But you should have multiple decks. You make that meta call. You say, this is the best deck going into this tournament. Sometimes, like I said, it is the best deck that everyone says it is. Sometimes it's Regigigas, the tier 2 deck. Totally fine. You have to ask yourself that question. But you don't say, this is the deck I'm going to play. I'm going to play Zoroark no matter what. No. This is what sets you back as a player from going from good to great. By going, I'm going to play Zoroark and I'm going to tech for the meta. And you're like, well, I can't actually tech for this. Then you are wrong. So that is incredibly important moving forward. One of those things, like I said, going into every tournament, if it's the best, why aren't you just playing it? It's the best, right? If we all call Lugia and Mew the best decks, you have to ask yourself, why are you not playing Lugia or Mew? And if the answer is because my deck beats both Lugia and Mew, so therefore you have the best deck, don't you? Sometimes the best deck is one that we don't know. And that's okay. Let's go back to NAIC real quick. Yeah, more story time. I know. Sander created Mewtwo Control. The question of why wasn't Mewtwo Control the best deck? Mewtwo Control is the best meta call. Yeah, that's great. What if it was just the best deck in the room? Now, it happened to run into, Azul running a Phoebe and a Palpad. Well, you know what? Sometimes you get unlucky. Once you're in top 8, getting to top 8, the best deck in the format's going to get you to top 8 or give you the best chance to make top 8. You're not always going to do it. Sometimes you go O2 drop. Sometimes you brick, right? But once you're in top 8, it becomes kind of a crapshoot. The randomness is there. What is your matchup spread? Sometimes you run into the one person in top 8 who has the tech that no one else is playing and you lose. It's okay. It happens, right? That's what happened to Sander. That's what happened over here to Reggie's. Best deck, but you know what? The one random Arceus Gudra feasted on the Reggies. Anyway, why wasn't this best deck? Yeah, it was. No one called it the best deck. Go back to my tier list. Go back to Omnipoke's tier list. Go back to any content creator's tier list. None of us had Mewtwo Control. Why? No one knew it existed. That doesn't mean it wasn't the best deck. So Sander is going to follow this advice. It's the best deck. Why aren't you just playing it? Sander's going to say, well, Palkia is the best deck. Arceus Flying Pikachu is the best deck. But I beat those. Great. You have now found what is the new best deck. If you beat the best decks, you have the best decks. So I want to clarify that a little bit because I think this is just the sagest advice in the world. It is so simple. If you watched 40 seconds into the video, you already got that advice. But the nuances of it do matter. If it's the best deck, why aren't you just playing it? It is the best. If you're trying to win, why aren't you playing the best deck? And that's when you factor in the meta. That's when you factor in everything else. Well, you know what you're expecting to play against? Lugia, Mew, Lost Box. Okay, maybe you have the deck that beats those 3. Congratulations, you have found the best deck. At this point, I'm just repeating myself over and over again. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all the other YouTube stuff. I was going to say something else there, but you know what? I think I've said everything I need to say. Be sure to follow me on Twitter while Twitter still exists. If you want to contact me anywhere else, comment section below is good, but there's also a Discord in the description. You're more than welcome to. I'm very active visibly in there. I'm not great at posting, but I'm great at responding to people who post stuff. So if you want to join the Discord, be sure to do that. I also post my updated deck list in there, or I'm happy to share my updated deck list if I don't post them, like Zoroark box. I didn't share my Zoroark box deck list, but then someone's like, hey, does someone have a Zoroark box deck list? And I gave it, right? So be sure to join that if you want to, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace out.